Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to another episode of Footprints. I'm your host, Anthony Davis. I'm an educator at BHS, that's Beverly High School, for those folks who don't know. And joining me today is a gentleman who I met at a basketball tournament. It just so happened that both our teams actually played each other.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. It was a fifth grade boys basketball team at a tournament, zero gravity tournament. And with me today, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the show Ryan Cuvier. He is a New England college basketball player there. So we're going to talk a little bit about Ryan's journey, but it doesn't stop there. Let me tell you this. Ryan's what you call a multi-sports athlete.
Yeah.
Multi-sport athlete from Tewksbury High School. And he graduated back in 2023, and he distinguished himself as that guy. All right, his basketball achievements, he's laughing about it, but it's good. As a senior, Ryan was honored as the Merrimack Valley College Division II Boys Basketball Player of the Year. That's pretty prestigious stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And he's also recognized as a leader and for his performance on the court. And did a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So again, let's welcome Ryan Cuvier to the show. And I want to ask you right off the bat, because this is one of the questions that I always ask my guests when they come on, Ryan. Tell us something about yourself that nobody knows. Could be kind of quirky, could be kind of funny. Something that Ryan kind of just never shared with anybody.
If I had to pick something that I don't share with people very often is I low-key do like poetry.
Poetry?
Yeah, I listen.
Oh.
I typically read the romance ones off of TikTok sometimes. I got into it after watching a series called Bridgerton on Netflix.
Okay. So, I do know that series, Bridgerton. Very good series, by the way. If you haven't seen it, you should probably look at it. Let me ask you a couple different questions as we get into this. That's pretty cool, by the way, poetry. When did sports first become really part of your identity?
I would say when I moved to Tewksbury, because the community there is all about their sports. When I first got there, I was the new kid on the block. I was very tall, so I caught everyone's eye. They were wondering if I did sports, but coming from a different country, you know, my mom's main focus was making sure I get a proper education and build a career for myself. So I wasn't really focused on sports. I didn't know how to play football, basketball, soccer, or anything like that for that matter. When I first touched the football, I thought a kickoff counted as points for me if we got all the way touchback. So it was a little funny, but all my friends after school would ditch me to go to their sports, and then I was like, Mom, I don't like the fact that I'm not doing nothing. Everyone else is hanging out.
Right.
So can I join them? And she let me.
How about that? So right away, there's the footprint that was imprinted on you by your parents by letting you participate in sports.
Yeah.
They said, hey, you know what? Go ahead. Your friends are doing it. You might as well jump on in and do it too, right? So tell me, when was the moment that you realized I'm good at this? And did that kind of change how you thought or saw yourself?
I would say after my freshman year of high school, I didn't notice that I was good at it. I noticed I had the natural build and athleticism for it, and I realized I sucked at the sport, actually. I barely made the team freshman year. So it kind of gave me a drive to want to be better. And that's when, during the COVID, I decided, like, since I had to be indoors all day, I'm going to start doing push-ups and look at videos. I started running. I would jog, make it a workout to jog up to the basketball court that was 2 miles out from my house, and I would just get shots up every day.
That is dedication, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to be good, you heard it here first. Ryan says, get shots up. You have to. So growing up in Tewksbury might have been a little bit different for you because you came from the Dominican Republic. Is that correct?
I lived in DR. I lived in Haiti. I lived in Queens. And then I lived in Malden. Okay. Wow. That's definitely a gambit of places to stay at. So what role did your family or the community of Tewksbury really have in shaping who you are? I think my mom in particular and my uncle, they both played a huge role in my life because throughout, like, since I was young, I could tell, like, they would work really hard at it to really make sure that I got what I needed when I needed it, to make sure I didn't feel like I had to force them to get me something. So I never felt like a need, I can't get candy or a drink because they can't afford it. So they would work really hard for me. So my mom hated working, but she would work day on, day night. She would do doubles all the time to make sure I got everything I wanted. Shoes, 'cause I love wearing Jordans.
Oh yeah, who doesn't? It's the shoe to have, man.
So I would say seeing my mom and uncle work so hard to make sure I get everything I wanted kind of made me want to give back and work as hard, because if they're not willing to give up, even if they don't like what's going on at the time, why should I feel like it's okay for me to give up at any point in time?
No, I understand that. That's you know what? For being such a young guy, you have such a great perspective on that, and seeing the work ethic that your parents put forth. That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the track and field success you had, because that's interesting too, right?
Yeah.
So in track and field, Ryan sort of showcases athletic versatility. At the 2023 MVC Championship, he secured the high jump title, which is pretty cool, with a personal best of 6'6", ranking in the top 5, right, in the high school performances in Massachusetts that year. That's awesome. And then he contributed with this whole pivotal thing in Tewksbury Strong, showing at both the Division IV State A relays and the state meet, where teams achieved, what did they do? Second place finishes, right? And so Athletic Net Tewksbury Public Schools has all the information there that Ryan did. Tell me, how'd you get into track though? Why track? What was that like?
It's a funny story actually. So I did basketball, and my other friend, he got cut freshman year. His name's Elijah. He was really good. He taught me the basics of basketball. Like, I used to play for his dad in Malden in like a little kid league, nothing serious. It was kind of just like a recess type of activity to do after school. And once we both moved to Tewksbury at the same time, and he kind of gave me a little help, but he got cut just because he was shorter than me. So he started doing track, and I would make fun of him and be like, yeah. And then he would like, come do track with me and see what happens. And at first it was a joke. I was only going to do it for a week. But then after the first week, they do like a testing period where they see what you're capable of. And I actually did pretty good. And so then I was like, you know what, I'll stick with it and do track with you during the spring for fun. At first it was for fun, but then my junior year doing it, I was able to be top 5 in the state for high jump, be top 5 for the 4x4. And I was also really good at triple jump. Wow. So it became very competitive for me. And my friends are very competitive, so we just kept going at it. And eventually I was like, damn, I'm actually pretty good at it by the end of my junior year. So during the summer, I worked out with my coach, Coach Wilson. He would take me to the track 3 days a week, and we'd just get some work on what I need to focus on for the upcoming year. And then, because I was really frustrated when I lost the state title. Yeah,
no doubt. I mean, listen, though that story is really close to home for me, because I know about competing. I played high school basketball against Patrick Ewing. I don't know if you know who that is, but that's one of the 50 greatest players to ever play in the NBA. So I was very privileged as a high school basketball player to play against him, so I kind of know about the grind a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about that. So being a multi-sport athlete doesn't just happen. We know it doesn't, right? What's something that people don't really see behind the scenes of your success?
A lot of times, like, my friends will say I joke, but a lot of people also think the same thing. They think, oh, he's just tall. So, like, they think that's why I'm so good at what I do. But I don't think they realize, like, freshman year, the coach told me straight up that he didn't want me on the team. He was like, if it wasn't for the varsity coach saying that you're tall and might have some type of potential, he was my head coach at varsity, I wouldn't have made the team. Wow. So I think that, like, that really drove me to want to be better. And people don't see that every day, because they'll consider it like, oh, you're just tall, you're not really skilled. But I put effort to watch the game. I got into coaching because I wanted to, like, see from a coach's perspective, because I felt like a lot of time me and coaches would go at it just because I'm not seeing where they're coming from. So being able to see the coach's viewpoint now kind of helps me make better decisions on the court. So I think people don't really realize how much effort I really put into the game. Like, I would 6 a.m. during the summer. Coach Stevie from the Tech, the Greater Lawrence Tech, he would open the gym for me. He would coach me up a lot. Like, he put me through it. Like, he would try to purposely play mental games with me. He would yell at me. He would try to see if I really wanted it or not. So that I know Coach Stevie.
He runs the Arsenal AAU program. Is that correct?
I played for Arsenals as well. We had a good run over there.
Yeah, I know him very well. The basketball community is kind of a small community, a close-knit community. We kind of know each other as coaches and all of that. So that's pretty cool.
I kind of, like, adapted to his work ethic, and it kind of pushed me because he would make me get in the gym at 6 in the morning. He would say I need to get double sessions even when I'm not with him to be working at it. And I think that really helped me build on my game because I used to suck at dribbling the ball. I could dunk, but I was too scared to dunk.
Right.
I was afraid of missing. And he was like, if you miss, it's okay. Just get the next one. It doesn't matter. You're going to miss some.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me build some confidence in my game.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, when you get a coach that believes in you, like I do with some of my kids, right, and the players that I coach, they'll run through a brick wall for you because now that you're putting that belief not only in them, but they see that you believe in them. So now there's two types of belief, yours and theirs. For sure. And they're like, oh my gosh, all right, this coach is really pushing me.
Yeah, because I think before he started coaching me, I was a really good player, but I always was fighting like mental challenges. Like I had low confidence because I would still think, oh, maybe I'm not that good because I would see other players that are really good. Even if people were saying, oh, Ryan, you're really good, but I feel like I was just good in this area.
Okay. So now let me ask you this question. Have you ever thought about a time where you I'm going to walk away from this and you hit a wall mentally or physically and you just said, this is not for me? Did you ever get to that point?
There's been a few times, but I think the most recent one was freshman year of college basketball. Going into freshman year of college, I went to Bridgewater, and when they recruited me, they had told me I'd be a great fit with the team, that they wanted me to come. And so I committed immediately, basically. I stopped considering other schools. And once I did that, committed there, tryouts come roll around, then we're into practices. I think I'm all set. And then the coach calls me into the office and says, Ryan, you're good, but we don't think you're going to get any PT this year.
Oh, no. It's a shock right there.
I was in such disbelief because I was like, I'm doing really good at practice. What happened? Like, is there anything I could do to change my game to be better, to get PT, et cetera? And they told me no, so I had to walk away from the team.
Oh boy, that's tough.
And the first week was rough. Like I was upset. I didn't want to touch basketball. I couldn't eat, but I love the sport. So I was just frustrated. I would just go to the gym and lift because I was just getting my anger out. And then Coach Stevie spoke with me following week, and after he heard what happened, explained to him and everything, he was like, you see, you just got to keep working at it. You can't just let that put you down.
Exactly.
And then he was talking about how before summer comes, I should already get workouts in. But when summer comes, I'm going to be in that gym with him every day to make sure I never feel
that way again. Yeah, no doubt. So what happens, ladies and gentlemen, is sometimes you get a setback, right?
Yeah.
And then the setback will set you up for a huge comeback.
Yeah.
And if you have that intestinal fortitude and that grit, that grind, I'm going to go do it no matter what, then generally speaking, it works out for you. What's another challenge you may have faced, maybe on the field, or maybe in track, or maybe in basketball, that taught you something about yourself?
In track, I did struggle a little bit junior year because I was good and I knew I was good, but it was like a natural talent thing where the better you are is usually based on your confidence, and I had all the confidence in the world.
Yeah.
When I was doing track. So I was winning. Regular season, I didn't lose any meet. I won every meet. Every meet I competed in, I didn't lose. And it was kind of my thing. Come states, I came top 3, so I made all states. When we got to all states, I lost.
Ooh.
It wasn't like a oh, you're amongst the top 3 or top 4.
Right.
I lost bad. I came in I was going into it, I was ranked 5th. But by the end of it, the actual results came out, and I didn't do good. I didn't make finals for running and for high jump, my best one. I'd never lose. I came I think it was 14th.
Wow.
And it was just horrible.
That just goes to show you how much competition is out there, right? And how other guys are grinding just like you.
It was like a performance thing. I didn't even jump as high as I typically do. I got nervous. I was doing bad. And I thought that that kind of just pushed me forward because then coach was like, you've beat them before. You know what you're capable of. Just one step back. We're going to keep it going. So that's when Coach Wilson got me going in the summer.
No question.
Yeah.
So that's right there. That's a story of resiliency, right? And also backtracking a little bit, Coach Stevie putting a footprint on you, pushing you to be the best player you can be or the best version of yourself. And that's what you need whenever you face any adversity when it comes to sports. I love sports because it's such a microcosm of life, particularly basketball. You have to work as a team, right? It teaches you discipline, focus, right? You have to really understand what your teammate is capable of doing and not doing. And then you have to play to your strengths so that they can play to theirs. And that's the beauty of basketball or even a relay team in track.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be able to do that. So let me ask you this. How have sports helped you sort of figure out who you are outside of athletics?
Before sports, I kind of had one mindset. My mom put me in like all these academic classes that were like not school related. Like she put me in this extracurricular activity for lawyers because I had always thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and she wanted me to be a doctor. But she was like, "Okay, if you're so set on it, we're gonna help you get there." So I was taking those classes, and it was kind of like very strict, serious stuff, and I kind of just like was notebook ready. But after doing the sport, I kind of realized like my passion was elsewhere. Like I like the sports community. I like business. I overall I just saw a lot of new things. Like I started working with Zero Gravity. Yeah, I started working with Zero Gravity. I want to do an internship with them. I started realizing I like marketing a little bit. It kind of just opened my eyes really to see what there's more out there than just like doctor, lawyer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of careers out there.
No question.
So I think that's what sports brought for me, and it kind of gave me the confidence to step out my comfort zone and try to see if I can actually achieve my goals going that direction.
You know, you said a mouthful right there. That's really important. Stepping out of the comfort zone. Because most people don't do that on a daily basis, right?
Yeah,
they like stay in their lane, like, I'm comfortable here, I'll do that. But if you step out of your comfort zone and do something that you know you're capable of doing, and then all of a sudden you put that effort into it and it comes to fruition, whew,
yeah, that's what happened with basketball.
You know what I mean?
I hated dribbling the ball. Then I had to step out of my comfort zone for that. I was scared to dunk, and then I stepped out of my comfort zone, got that done. And that kind of went on with my regular day-to-day life, too. With like,
tell us a little bit about the college basketball experience. What's your day-to-day grind like during the peak of the season?
During peak season when we're like first in comp, we typically have classes in the morning. My schedule, I'd have at 8 a.m. Before my 8 a.m., I try to, every other day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I try to get in the gym at 6 in the morning. Maybe 5:30 because our gym opens up at 4. I try to get like 30 minutes of just shooting, and then I'll get breakfast, shower, change, go to my classes. After my class, I typically finish around 1, 2 o'clock. Practice is usually 4 or 6 o'clock. I go to the trainer, get iced up, do whatever I gotta do to get my body right. Maybe I'll go lift because we have a weight coach, and he gave us a schedule to work on. So I try to get that done and out the way, and then comes practice. Typically 2 hours of just long running, a lot of very physical. It's very demanding. So trainer right after that. Then I end my night just hanging out with some of my friends, or I go back to my dorm and get homework done.
Wow, that's a day and a half, ladies and gentlemen, in the life of Ryan Cuvier, basketball player, college basketball player, we should say. Do you ever feel any pressure to kind of live up to any expectations? I mean, you were a freshman this past year on the team. How did the team do this year? They were kind of middle of the road, not so good, could have been better.
Our team was young. Our team was young. We had 3 seniors, and they were tremendous. They did great. One of them scored 1,000 points. His name was Alex Williams. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
He scored 1,000 this year. And then everyone else was kind of freshmen, sophomores trying to find their way. So we struggled a bit because a lot of the competition were much older kids, senior graduates, etc. So we didn't do the best this year, but we made progress. Towards the end of the season, we kind of found our roots, found our way. I got to start a game. I did really good. I had like 5 blocks.
Nice.
It was fun, but yeah, I would say that was probably how our season went.
Okay. Well, sometimes they don't go quite as well as you want them to.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, I've been coaching at Pingree for 5 years, and that's the prep school over at Hamilton, Mass.
It's a learning process.
Yeah, and we didn't do too well this past year, but the last 2 years we had some success. So we're looking to reload and retool and get back at it. When you're alone with your thoughts and you're just kind of thinking, what kind of pushes you to keep going forward? What's the driving force?
My family.
Okay.
My coaches.
Talk a little bit about your parents, your mom and your dad. What does your mom do for a living?
My mom, she's a nurse. She works at a hospital I think called Acton or something.
Okay.
And my dad, he travels a lot back and forth from Haiti and America. He stays up in Queens. I don't live with him. I have a lot of siblings. Okay. So he takes care of my other siblings.
Now, how many siblings do you have?
I have 7.
7? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have 7 children, by the way. So that's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
I have 4 boys and 3 girls. My oldest daughter, Caitlin, will be 40, and my youngest son, Ashton, will be 20 this year.
Yeah.
So that's a nice big gap between
Yeah.
the two, right? What does success look like for you right now in terms of, what you're doing on the college basketball scene? But then think about maybe 5 years from now, what will that look like for you?
Success for me right now is to come next year strong. Immediately offer it, kind of show everyone that I'm capable of what they expected or what they didn't expect. Because a lot of people, like my family, my uncle, he talks to me a lot. Like he talks to me about the sport all the time. He's always sending me videos of what I could work on. My mom, they all expect greatness from me. My little cousin, my little sis, my little brothers, they all talk about they want to be like me when they get older. I just don't want to disappoint them. So that definitely is a driving force for me. But also, like, all the haters, people that were like, oh, you're not really all that, da-da-da. I just want to prove them wrong.
I love it. So having that driving force to prove people wrong is the best thing you can ever have.
Yeah.
Like that little chip on your shoulder, they call it. There's a Japanese legend that says, if you get on the wrong train, get off at the nearest station. Why? Because the longer it takes for you to get off, the more expensive the return trip will be. So think about that. Right?
Yeah.
So as we're going through and doing things in our life with sports, that's how it goes. Sometimes we got to get off quickly on that train so we can get that return trip and it doesn't cost us so much, right? Now, if sports were to disappear from your life altogether, what would you do and what would remain? What would be the things you would gravitate to?
I still see myself in sports, even after, if I were to stop playing. Like, a lot of the businesses I want to get into are sports related, so I think I would still be interacting with people in the industry.
Okay.
But if it did, I think I would be fine just because I'm doing pretty good in classes, getting them A's. So I think I'd be fine, but I'd mainly want to focus on potentially, I don't know how to explain it, entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship is great. Starting your own business is wonderful. I did that actually back when my youngest son, who's now 20, when he was in 5th grade. So he was playing AAU basketball. I'll tell the story really quickly. And he went to this program, and there were a bunch of people there that didn't know basketball, right? And I had been coaching basketball for a long time. At that point, I've been coaching for damn near 30 plus years. But anyway, he went to this AAU tryout, and he gets there, and he's frustrated with the process. He sees a lot of these guys his age, 5th and 6th grade, not as good as him, right? And then he starts talking to the coach, who was supposed to be really good at what they're doing, and the coach was not good at what he was doing. So he gets in the car, and he's frustrated. I could tell he's huffing. It's like, oh. I'm like, what's wrong, Ash? He goes, Dad, you got to help me. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you got to help me. I go, do what? He goes, Dad, I know more basketball in my finger than the guy teaching me. He goes, you know more basketball than everybody in this program. He goes, help me. So I started thinking about how I could help him. And I developed a company that I still run called Hoop University. It's a basketball training and apparel company. And what I used to do is I would train his buddies. We'd go to the gym. We'd do like different skills and drills, dribbling, footwork, passing, shooting, all that stuff. And as he got better at that, his confidence grew. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to stick with this and do this. And it was kind of word of mouth because I worked for the Boston Celtics during the summertime at that time. And it was awesome, too, because, being able to work with the Celtics and having that credential, people were like, oh, I didn't know you'd coach for them. And I'm like, yeah. And so it was like word of mouth, and it kind of spread and got around. So right now, I currently have 25 clients that I work with individually. Some kids from Pingree, some kids from Beverly, some kids from Gloucester, where I live. It depends on who it is. But I developed that business. You talk about entrepreneurship from that one idea that my son put into my head. It said, Dad, you got to help me. I said, okay, I'll do the best I can. If you could write a letter to yourself, your freshman self, this year, what would you say?
Stay in the gym.
Stay in the gym?
Stay in the gym.
Great advice.
I think towards the beginning of the year, I was very gym oriented. I would get in there every day. But once the season started, I started slacking off because I was like, oh, I got practice later. I'm going to be tired. et cetera, et cetera. My body needs a break. I just come up with all these excuses. So beginning of the season, I'm not in the gym as much. But towards the middle, I start going back in the gym and I start seeing more progress. I'm like, if I had just stayed in the gym at the beginning, I would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny how that works, right? Some people stop just before it turns, right?
Yeah.
When you're like, oh, I'm putting in all this work and I don't see any progress, and then they stop. Instead, the most important aspect of that is consistency, because if you're consistent in giving consistent effort, no matter what you're doing, eventually it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
Right?
That comes with discipline.
No question.
I used to think it was motivation that gets you there. It's discipline.
It's discipline.
Because there are days the motivation is not going to be there.
Exactly.
You're going to want to give up.
Exactly.
But if you have the right discipline,
that's right.
You'll be fine.
You stay there, you're going to, you got that discipline and that drive, it's going to get you there. So what do you hope people will say about you when your time at New England College is over?
I'm hoping they'll say I made a change in the community, but potentially in the basketball area. Like, I'm hoping they'll recognize my efforts and be able to be like, yeah, he was a great player. He made strides in his game and overall made the school better.
Okay. So let me ask you this question then. What kind of legacy do you think you want to leave behind as far as basketball? Or even just being a multi-sport athlete? Because there could be somebody listening to this podcast right now that's just like you, right? Yeah. You might be a multi-sport athlete. So what advice would you give to them? What kind of legacy would you say you wanted to leave?
I think I want to leave a positive legacy, to be honest. Like, you will hear about like players that did really good, but they were just such awful players or awful people outside of the sport. I kind of want to be on and off the court, just have an overall good impression of myself.
Right.
I would like to potentially be like a Hall of Famer for New England, or a 1,000-point scorer. You know, just do something remarkable. Maybe get them another championship. That would definitely be my goal. And then outside of that, I'd want them to be like, yeah, he was a great student overall too, and a great person to be around at that school. So that would be a great legacy to leave, by the way. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And those would be footprints that people would be following that you've left.
Yeah.
It would influence the people coming behind you and the younger kids. Talk a little bit about coaching AAU basketball. What got you into that, and why did you figure, hey, I want to coach these young kids?
I'd say I had an opportunity to coach for Coach Buddha during camps. He's my high school coach, and he runs these camps during the summer, and they were fun. And at first, I felt like it was like a job, like it was a hassle. I had to. But once I got working with the kids, it helped me grow as a person. And then I was able to like help my little brother a little bit more, because I had more of an understanding how to approach kids and younger people. And then after that, I'm like, I low-key like coaching. I want to keep doing it. So once I found the opportunity, when I met Coach Isaiah, he was like, yeah, I've been in need of a coach. And I was working at Zero Gravity at the time. So I'm checking in all the coaches, the college coaches, because it was a big tournament. Right. So me and him were conversating, and he's talking about that. I'm like, wait, I'm up there. If you need a coach, I've had some experience. I'd love to come work for you. And once I got there, I started coaching the kids over there. He has like a few varsity teams, and then 8th graders, and then little ones. I've been coaching with him for all of the teams. Yeah. But the weekend you met me, I was coaching the little ones. Yeah. And I found it fun. I was a little frustrated we lost it, but
yeah, I'm sorry, man. Our team put it on you pretty good. I didn't.
We were just all tall,
but it's okay.
Can't coach height.
No, you cannot. We were pretty big, and it's interesting with that team too. I only have 2 5th graders on that team. Yeah, I know. The 2 tallest kids, and everybody else is 4th graders, which is interesting. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was pretty good. So a lot of things we sometimes we worry about things in our lives that we really can't control, right? Yeah. And we try not to do that. So one thing I'd like to say is worrying is like paying a debt that you don't owe, because you're thinking about it and you're like, you can't control it. Some things you just can't control. But what you can control is your energy and your effort, no matter what you're doing in life. And those things are universal to everybody. Let me ask you this, a couple rapid fire questions right off the bat. Pre-game hype song, what's your go-to?
Pre-game hype song?
Pre-game hype song.
Wow.
What gets you going?
Timeless.
Boogie. Okay. All right. Oh, that's interesting. I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your go-to meal before a big meet or a big game?
Basketball and track are 2 different sports.
Okay. So what would you eat before a track meet?
before a track meet, I would try to keep it simple. Maybe a quick sandwich, crackers. If you want, nothing crazy. If you put something big on you, you might feel tired, too heavy.
Yeah.
So I just try to keep it light. Apple, maybe apple or banana.
All right.
Basketball, I tend to have a good meal.
Okay.
Like sometimes if I know I have a good amount of time before the game, like a good 2 hours or 3 hours, I'll eat a Chipotle.
Oh, okay.
I'll eat a Mexican type of dish where I'll get some rice and chicken.
Shout out to Chipotle. I love them, by the way.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think Chipotle has high protein, get the right carbs. So I like that. Or anything homemade. My mom will come up to my school once a week and she'll bring me like a big dish full of my favorite Haitian mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese, yes, indeed.
Some rice and chicken. So I'll eat those before games.
All right. And what's your toughest competitor you've ever faced?
Toughest competitor?
In track and then in basketball.
In track, I would say.
Remember, you came in 14th.
Yeah. I would say it was.
I don't want to remind you of that. I'm sorry.
I would say it was a kid from Boston. He ended up going D1 for high jump.
Okay.
And he came in, he was doing 2 jumps at the same time. He was doing long jump and high jump.
Wow.
Both events were going at the same time, so he was going back and forth.
Ooh, my.
And he didn't look phased at all. I think he was from Brockton or something around the Boston area. And he was doing both events at the same time, and he was winning in both. So to see that, and he looked mad calm, like that trophy was his. Like before he even got it, he already knew that trophy was his. No one's touching it. He's like, I'm just here to collect.
Oh my goodness. So
he was definitely.
When you see that, that's another level of focus and determination, right?
He wasn't talking to no one.
Yeah, he was just getting it done. That's what you love about that, right? That's what sports is all about.
Yeah.
What would be one word to describe your athletic mindset?
I'd say killer mentality.
Okay. All right. That's 2 words, but we'll take it.
Oh, yeah. If I had to put one word, relentless.
Relentless?
Yeah.
Beautiful word. I love that. That's, Tim Grover trained Michael Jordan. He has a book called Relentless. Oh. And that's one of the biggest things that Michael Jordan was.
Michael Jordan's my favorite player.
Relentless. Well, Michael Jordan to me has been the go-to basketball no matter what. I can't convince my youngest son of that. My youngest son, Ashton, thinks it's LeBron James. But everybody, you see, people don't understand. LeBron James has played 22 years or 21, 22 years in the league. Jordan played 16 years in the league.
He was able to condense all of his best basketball in
those
lesser years.
In lesser years, no question. And I think people they miss the boat on that. Yeah. They don't understand that, All right, a couple more questions. If you could go on vacation anywhere in the world and money was not an object, where would you go?
Japan.
Oh, Japan. And why Japan?
I love their culture.
Yeah?
Like I'm around a lot of different cultures all the time. And I'd have to say Japan is definitely one of my favorites. Like,
what intrigued you about the Japan culture, the Japanese culture?
When I first started getting into it, first it started with just some anime watching. And then I saw the outfits they would wear, the food they would eat, and I did a report for a class assignment, and I had to talk about healthy countries, and they were amongst the top 10.
Okay.
So all their foods look nice, and they're good. And they're healthy.
Yeah.
And I just overall see, I watch videos of places in Japan. I see the community. I want to see the cherry blossoms. I want to see Tokyo.
You see it all, huh?
Yeah, I just love their culture. It just seems like a fun area to be around.
Nice. You know what? That's not a bad one.
Yeah.
That's not a bad one. I don't know where I'd go. I'd probably go somewhere tropical. My wife would probably want to go somewhere tropical.
I'd say somewhere tropical, but I lived in DR and Haiti, so I already see.
So already seen that, huh?
I've been to France because we have family up there, so I already know what it's like in certain areas. So I kind of just want to try something that's completely new.
So you've been there, done that. So you want to do something else?
I wouldn't touch foot in Australia though.
No. Why not?
The spider season.
Okay.
And all the other bugs they have. Yeah. There's just too much. They got too much going on.
They got too much going on over there, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Excuse me. So now if you could have dinner or lunch with anybody in the world, dead or alive, basketball figure, athlete, celebrity, anybody at all, who would it be and why?
It'd be Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah,
you're like the second person who ever said that. Why Jesus?
I'm currently wearing a wristband that has a quote from the Bible. And I would say Jesus because I was raised around a culture where Christian, Catholic, all are the same to my family. and faith is kind of a big thing for us. So
No
when
doubt.
I had mentioned entrepreneurship, I was thinking of starting like a clothing brand that was for athletes to help them face any mental challenges, depression, but using Christian
Like
methods.
Christian methods. Wow, nice. That's a really good idea.
Because how I see it is, I feel like he's kind of like a guide for me. Like if you read the Bible, you learn a lot of new things. You learn lessons. And some people don't realize that because they're reading the stories, but they're not actually trying to pick up on the lessons.
Yeah.
I kind of view it how I used to view the shows I used to watch on PBS Kids, where every show is an episode, cool, but there's always a lesson.
There's always a lesson to it, yeah.
And I just think he could have like a perspective of something that could help me in life. So I think it would be a nice sit down.
It's funny. So from my childhood, there was a show called Davy and Goliath, and I used to love it. Hello, Davy. And there was always a message in that particular episode. Something would happen, and then Davy would have to overcome it, or Goliath would do something, and then they would kind of figure it out. But you're right. Messages are really important to kids, to youth today, because they're looking up to us, you know? I mean, I was at a zero gravity tournament where a kid was cooking. He was making 3-point shots, and he was cooking our team. He made like 8 3-point shots in a row, and he made the gun sign, right, to one of our players. And I was like, whoa. And they stopped the game, and they called a technical. And I said, what are we teaching kids here? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Like, that's not sportsmanship, right? And I said that to the other coach. I'm like, if that were my player, he'd be sitting on the bench, and he wouldn't play anymore because of that, you know? Because that just goes to show you what type of attitude the kid has, or maybe the coach is portraying that, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah, I won't lie. I've definitely partaken in something of sorts of that. Just like celebrations.
I mean, celebrations are good.
I try to avoid doing those type of things, but I have, just because it was trending, and then it just happens automatic.
Well, everybody does the John Morant one where they throw the grenade, where they throw it up and they cover their ears.
Yeah,
I've seen that happen too.
I did that one time. We were all doing it, and it just happened, you know.
So I mean, listen, I don't mind, you know, doing that,
but to a certain player,
it has to be
disrespectful.
It has to be tasteful.
Yeah,
right. It can't be a disrespectful one. So for me, if I were going to have lunch or dinner with anybody, it would probably be Wilt Chamberlain.
Why?
Because he was the biggest and the strongest guy, and him and Bill Russell had these immense battles back and forth, and Bill Russell was always getting the best of him. And I would ask him, you know, being the biggest, and by the way, Wilt Chamberlain ran track, in case you didn't know that. And he was a basketball player as well, but he was amazing. And they changed the lane because he was so big. He could dunk, he could do all these things. And he was such an amazing player. Also, the only player to score 100 points in a game. Yeah. And you know what I mean? No one's ever done that. Kobe came close. He had 81, right? But they should have let him play in the fourth quarter. But I would just ask him, like, you know, wow, how did this all come about? And you're the biggest and strongest guy. What were you thinking? Do you think you were going to end up here? You know, did you think this would happen to you? So I would ask him that question. You know,
I'd love to sit down with Jesus to ask him a few questions for myself.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an unbelievable show. My guy Ryan Cuvier from New England College has been here, and we actually enjoyed his company. And hopefully he'll come back and grace us with his presence again. We'll do a recap and see where he is maybe after next season, right? We'll see what happens there. Please make sure you follow us and find us on every streaming podcast service there. We're on Spotify. We're on Podbean. We're on Pod Republic. We're on Overcast. We're on Podcast Addict. We're also on Castbox. So please find us there. And ladies and gentlemen, I always leave you with this question, but I'm going to leave you with two. I'm going to leave you with, who left a footprint on you, and what are you doing with it? I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.